Yes, I didn't see him. What are you looking so sad about, Jam?
And I'm surprised at you. I mean, I'm really insulted. I mean, that's not right what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I mean, I'm a hometown man, and you talk about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, Clay, one time during my career, I went on a bomber month tour.
Bomb of the month. I would have been a bomb compared to you.
What's happening, my people? It's Cat Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Story, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. Salute to Miss Cass. Without her, none of this would be possible. Salute to Mike Mazik. Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cat Sports, the Box Story. Today, the life and career of Riddick Big Daddy Bowe. Riddick Big Daddy Bowe has a family today. Today's show is brought to you by BVO Sports TV. Okay, we're going to get two profiles this week. You know, we normally do the profile on Fridays, but BVO requested Riddick Bowe, and we do shows requested out of the chat on Wednesdays. So Riddick Big Daddy Bowe today. But how's everyone? This is the Hump Day edition of Cat Sports, the Box Story. Happy Wednesday to everybody. We're going to get started with the fight of the day in moments. May is almost here. May is going to bring us a lot of potentially good fights. Okay, we don't know what's going to happen, but we got some big names against big names in there. Starting out with Monster and Nakatani on May 2nd. And on that same day, we got the Mexican Monster, David Benavidez, against Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez. We got Oshaki and I forgot. Later, Raymond Ford later in the month, and then also Keyshawn and Albright is fighting their rematch, so that should be good. So yeah, May is going to be big, and some pretty good undercards too on those fights. So looking forward to May, and yeah, Saturday after next is May 2nd. Next week will be fight week for Monster Nakatani and Benavidez and Zurdo. So wow, right up on us. This time it's going by so fast. And Boots and Xander, that's June, right? And Floyd and Manny rematch, 10 years too late. Like I was saying yesterday, we thought the first fight was too late, 5 years. The rematch is 10 years too late. The rematch should have been like 2016. Here they go in 2026. Both of them almost 50 years old, okay? Told you I'm not paying no more than $19.99 for the pay-per-view for that one. I just have to watch it on the replay. If it's any more than $19.99, that's all I'm paying for Floyd and Manny, too. Okay? But let's get ready to get started with our fight of the day. We got Riddick Big Daddy Bowe today, and the country of the day is Germany. You know, we do a little history of a country at the end of every show. Today, it's Germany. Little history of boxing in Germany, some other significant events concerning boxing in Germany, and then some of the great German boxers. Okay, got 10 of them, 10 great German boxers. Country of the day is Germany. But let's start with our fight of the now. Without further ado, fight of the day. Larry Holmes versus Trevor Berbick. For the Eastern Assassin. A tough test for the Eastern Assassin. All right, let's get into it. Today's fight of the day, Holmes and Berbick. Wade Basson. In 1981, Frew doubted that Larry Holmes was one of the best boxers in the world. But rarely had the whole leadership of the world been so unpopular. For not only was it the unlucky fate of Holmes to be the dominant heavyweight immediately following the reign of the charismatic Muhammad Ali, but 6 months before Larry's title defense against little-known Trevor Berbick, Holmes had battered and stopped a 38-year-old Ali in a hugely anticipated fight. A fight that proved to be one of the most pitiful spectacles in all of sports history. For 10 hopelessly one-sided rounds, Holmes dominated the man they called the greatest, and in the process, destroyed the hopes of millions who were convinced Ali could once again give them the same thrills they experienced when he bucked the odds and defeated Sonny Liston. And then 10 years later, when he bucked the odds and defeated George Foreman. While some sympathized with the no-win situation Holmes had found himself in, his battering up the greatest did nothing to endear him to the general public. The aftermath of a fight that we now know should never have happened in the first place was that while the skilled Holmes was clearly the best heavyweight on the planet at that time, he was a champion who had attracted less interest, weaker ticket sales, and much lower television ratings than his legendary predecessor, Ali. The Boxing Menu Podcast in the building. Salute. Boxing Menu Podcast. Holmes versus Berbick. Fight of the day. Good to see you today. The Boxing Menu Podcast. Anybody listening, get subscribed up to the Boxing Menu Podcast, please. Help him grow his channel. Okay, let's continue. Yeah, Holmes already following behind Ali was a hard act to follow. And then on top of that, he battered Ali, right? And, he was in a no-win situation that did not endear him to the public when he did that in that fight. But what was he supposed to do? Okay. So while on the one hand, those who had actually given Ali a chance to unseat Holmes, surprisingly many in retrospect, now gave the reigning champion his due. The fact remained that no one could get enthused about the former Ali sparring partner, who had yet to prove himself a Hall of Fame talent. And so, while Larry's shellacking of the greatest had been held in a makeshift outdoor stadium at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas that accommodated almost 25,000 people and saw a record live gate, Holmes versus Berbick was held within the confines of the casino's pavilion with fewer than 5,000 on hand. Fewer than 5,000 for a heavyweight championship fight. Wow. But in fairness, it must be remembered that the fight was regarded as nothing more than a routine title defense for Holmes. The Canadian heavyweight champion, a 50-1 underdog in Vegas when the fight was first announced. 50-1, that was worse than Tyson and Buster Douglas. Now, Berbick was a legitimate contender on the basis of a single win, his knockout over former WBA heavyweight champion, Big John Tate. However, he had also been knocked out himself by unknown Colombian heavyweight Bernardo Mercado. The bottom line was, few knew who Berbick was, and even fewer viewed him as a real threat to Holmes. There's a shot of Berbick. Yeah, few knew who he was, and even fewer viewed him as a legitimate threat to Larry Holmes in this fight. So it was something of a surprise when Holmes versus Berbick got off to a lively start. The muscular challenger stalking and taunting and setting a fast pace, while Holmes landed the meaningful punches. Berbick kept baiting him, dropping his hands, pointing to his chin and shouting, "Come on, baby." At the bell to end the opening round, an irritated Holmes showed the impertinent challenger. He shoved Berbick before walking back to his corner. If nothing else, it was clear that Berbick was not the least bit intimidated by the more experienced champion. Yeah, Holmes shoved him after the first round because Berbick was taunting him, talking to him, hands down by his sides, telling him, "Come on." So Holmes shoved him after the first round ended. Mike Rem in the building. Salute Mike. Larry Holmes versus Trevor Burbick. Okay, let's continue. More surprising sights came in round 2, with Burbick fighting awkwardly out of a half crouch, landing several stiff jabs to Larry's visage before Holmes stepped in and buckled Burbick's legs with a blistering right hand. But the challenger, to the surprise of many, was not seriously hurt, and later in the round, it was his turn to land a hard right that snapped Larry's head back. But the basic pattern of the fight was set. Holmes was the more effective boxer with excellent movement, quicker hands, and that stinging jab, while Burbick continually came forward, showing little respect as he looked to counter with big shots. At the end of round 2, Burbick, to the delight of the crowd, again taunted Holmes. Yeah, kept taunting Larry. There he is, taunting him again. The pace quickened in the third round with some excellent exchanges. But while Burbick got in some solid body punches, it was Holmes who connected with the hurtful blows, quick 1-2s, and snapping right hands. Round 4 saw Larry's greater skill and speed, allowing him to stay in command. But early in round 5, Burbick caught Holmes with a heavy right that clearly stung the champion. Holmes held on to clear his head, taking some hard body punches as he did. And for the rest of the round, the challenger forced the action and landed the more telling blows. Round 6 was relatively quiet, with neither pugilist having a clear edge. But Burbick won round 7 as he forced the action and connected with the more meaningful punches. The round also saw the most thrilling exchange of the entire fight in its final 30 seconds, when Burbick pinned Holmes in his corner and the two big men dug in for a furious exchange of power shots. The challenger actually getting the better of it and landing a couple of extra blows after the bell. As the crowd roared, it was clear that, against all expectations, a determined Burbick was giving Holmes a serious challenge. Perhaps in an effort to pace himself, Burbick took his foot off the gas pedal in round 8, which was for the most part a jabbing contest. But in the 9th, Burbick went back to taunting the champion and landing hard right hands to the body. When Burbick continued to verbally mock Larry after the bell, he got a shove in the chest for his trouble. The insults appeared to inspire an angry Holmes to box with authority in round 10, the champion snapping home more jabs and then drilling Burbick with some vicious straight rights. But the challenger never buckled and never stopped firing back. Round 11 was more the same, with the champion in control behind that withering left jab. But then Burbick rebounded in round 12, and the crowd was treated to some lively slugging between the two big men, both connecting. At this point, the game challenger had exceeded all expectations, though at the same time, he had won maybe 4 rounds. He needed a knockout to score a huge upset and take the title. But after a rather pedestrian round 13, Burbick came to life again and took round 14 on sheer aggression, as Holmes was content to coast. The challenger came out strong to start the finals round, bullying Holmes around the ring, letting his hands go and getting the better of it for a minute or so before the champion opened up and counterattacked. The crowd was on its feet as the two big heavyweights went toe-to-toe for the final 90 seconds of the battle, both fighters staying at close quarters and slamming home heavy shots. Again, Holmes' punches clearly had more sting, but Berbick simply refused to cave in or stop fighting back, and both were unloading bombs when the final bell tolled. Against all expectations, Holmes versus Berbick had been an entertaining and hard-fought battle. And while genuine acrimony appeared at play during the fight, the fighters exchanged gestures of respect as they waited for the official decision, which of course went to Holmes. This just proves that you can't take anybody lightly, commented Larry after his toughest battle since his tremendous 15-round war with Ken Norton in 1978. Berbick gave me all I could handle. Everybody thought the fight wouldn't go more than a few rounds, observed a smiling Berbick. But now, I think the boxing world knows that Trevor Berbick is a fighter to be reckoned with. Berbick went on to eventually win a piece of the heavyweight championship in 1986, only to lose it in memorable fashion to Mike Tyson later that same year. Both Holmes and Berbick kept fighting long after their careers should have ended. And while they never again met in the ring, the bizarre conclusion of their 1991 altercation at a Florida hotel, which saw Holmes jump from the roof of a parked car to tackle Berbick, has no doubt been seen thanks to the internet by far more people than ever witnessed the entertaining 15-round battle for the heavyweight championship of the world, which says something of import about our increasingly strange world, not to mention the sport of boxing. But nobody knows what it is. There you have it, the fight of the day. Larry Holmes versus Trevor Berbick. Yeah, they got into it out in a street fight. Holmes jumped off a roof of a car and tackled Berbick. And more people saw that than saw the actual fight between them. BBO Sports TV. Yeah, Riddick Big Daddy Bowe today, BBO. Today's show is brought to you by BBO Sports TV from the Sports Talk Network. Salute, BBO. Okay, let's get started with Big Daddy then. And the country for today is Germany. Okay, after we finish with Big Daddy, we're going to talk a little history about German boxing and some of the top boxers that come out of Germany. Of course, led by the great Max Schmeling. Knocked Joe Louis up. Not a TKO. On the mat, 10-second knockout. Trevor Berbick. I mean, not Trevor Berbick, Max Schmeling. But Joe Louis came back to avenge it 2 years later. Yeah. In like 2 minutes, 4 seconds of the first round, something like that. And Schmeling spent weeks in the hospital. But a great German boxer. Yeah, Bowe, one of them what ifs. When you talk about what could have been and everything, Riddick Bowe falls in that category. Had the great Eddie Futch in his corner, but when Eddie saw Riddick didn't want it, Eddie walked away. Eddie, at first, Eddie was about 80 then, and Eddie first turned Riddick down, but Riddick pressed and Eddie decided to train him. And Eddie trained Larry Holmes, Trevor Berbick, Joe Frazier, Michael Spinks, Ken Norton, and Eddie Futch said Riddick Bowe had the potential to be the best heavyweight he ever trained. Okay? So those were big, high praise for Riddick. But Riddick just didn't put the work in to pan out to what he could have been. But let's talk about him today. The life and career of Riddick Big Daddy Bowe. Brought to you by BVO Sports TV. Okay. All right. How's everybody's hump day edition of Cast Sports the Box Story? Bringing you all that boxing history. Now, Riddick Bowe was born August 10th, 1967. Former American pro boxer. He competed from 1989 to 2008. Okay? 19-year career. Best known as a two-time world heavyweight champion and 1988 Olympic silver medalist. Runner-up that year to Lennox Lewis. Standing 6 feet 5 inches tall with an 81-inch reach. Bowe combined size, power, and technical skill, including a strong jab and inside fighting ability to amass a pro record of 43 wins, just 1 loss, 1 no contest, 33 by knockout. Yeah, they 1 loss to Holyfield, and that was because of the fan man. Hadn't meant for fan man, Riddick Bowe would have won that fight. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Fan man came crashing in, and it affected Bowe more because Bowe's pregnant wife was in the audience, and she had to be carried out. And Bowe continued to fight, but it had to be affected by that. So, yeah, you can get part of that loss to Holyfield, part of it to fan man. Now, born in the Brownsville neighborhood of Brooklyn, New York, as the 12th of 13 children, Bowe grew up in a tough environment and began boxing as a teenager, inspired by Muhammad Ali. His amateur career was highly successful, highlighted by 4 New York Golden Gloves titles in the mid-1980s, a gold medal at the 1985 World Junior Championships, a bronze at the 1987 Pan American Games, and a silver medal in the super heavyweight division at the 1988 Seoul, South Korea Olympics, where he lost in the final to Lennox Lewis. Turning pro shortly after the Olympics, Bowe quickly rose through the ranks with 31 consecutive victories, earning him the status of top contender by 1992. Bowe's professional pinnacle came on November 13th, 1992, when he defeated reigning champion Evander Holyfield by unanimous decision to claim the undisputed heavyweight title, unifying the WBA, WBC, and IBF belts in his 32nd fight. He vacated the WBC title amid disputes, but lost the remaining belts to Holyfield in their rematch on November 6, 1993, by majority decision. Lost, like I say, he lost to Holyfield and Fan Man, right? Second fight. Now, Bowe rebounded by winning the WBO heavyweight title in 1995 against Herbie Hyde, and later avenged his loss to Holyfield in their trilogy fight on November 4th, 1995, securing an 8th round TKO, which was Holyfield's first career stoppage defeat. Now, Bowe's career included controversial fights, such as 2 1996 fights against Andrew Galata that ended in disqualifications due to low blows, leading to a post-fight riot in the first fight. Bowe retired in 1996, but made comebacks from 2004 to 2008, winning 5 fights, all by decision. Now, we're going to go into all these fights in more detail later. We just little summary right now. Retired for good in 1998. Wait a minute. 2008, excuse me. 2008. In his later years, Bowe faced significant personal and legal challenges, including a 1998 guilty plea to abducting his estranged wife and 5 children, for which he was initially sentenced to 30 days in jail in 2000, and later 18 months in federal prison in 2003 after violating probation. He was also ordered to receive treatment for brain injuries sustained from boxing. Despite these issues, Bowe was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 2015, recognizing his contribution to the sport. As of 2025, he remains the last American undisputed heavyweight champion. Last American. Yep. Let's look at his early life. Yeah, I didn't even know that before this morning. Yeah, he's the last American undisputed heavyweight champion, Riddick Bowe. Early life. There's a young Riddick. Al Booger, what's up? AB, how you doing today? Life and career of Riddick Big Daddy Bowe, brought to you by BVO Sports TV. Okay, let's look at Bowe's early life. Okay, early life. Upbringing in Brooklyn, New York. Again, Riddick Bowe was born on August 10th, 1967 in Brooklyn, New York as the 12th of 13 children born to Dorothy and William Bowe. His family consisted of 6 sons and 7 daughters, with Dorothy serving as the primary caregiver after William left the household during Riddick's childhood. His father left when he was a child, left his mother with 13 children. So his father did remain in the local area as a chauffeur and window cleaner until his death at age 74. Dorothy, who had migrated from Georgia to New York as a child, raised a large family in conditions marked by significant poverty, ensuring her children were never sent to bed hungry despite the hardships. Okay? Ensuring her children never went to bed hungry despite the hardships. The Bowe family resided in a 2-bedroom apartment in a housing project at 250 Lot Avenue in the Brownsville section of Brooklyn, a neighborhood that was notorious for its socioeconomic challenges during the 1970s and 1980s. Brownsville was plagued by high crime rates, including daily gunfire, crack dens, murders, and robberies, with Bowe later recalling the presence of crack dealers on the building stairs and the constant threat of violence. As a youth, Bowe navigated this environment of street life and gang activity, growing up alongside future boxer Mike Tyson, who was a neighbor and schoolmate at Public School 396. Yeah, him and Mike went to school together at one point, in their life. From an early age, Bowe displayed notable physical attributes that set him apart, standing at 6 feet 5 inches tall with a natural athleticism evident in schoolyard activities. So he was initially described as a big, vulnerable kid prone to behavioral issues at school. These traits, combined with the protective role he often took in guarding his mother, shaped his early personality amid the turbulent surroundings of Brownsville. Now, introduction to boxing for Big Daddy, Riddick Bowe. Okay, introduction to boxing. Now, Riddick first became interested in boxing during his early teens, drawing inspiration from Muhammad Ali's legendary fights, which he admired for their style and showmanship. Growing up in the tough neighborhoods of Brooklyn, Bowe sought an outlet for discipline and challenging circumstances, leading him to visit local gyms. At around age 11, he walked into the New Bed-Stuy Boxing Center on Marcus Garvey Boulevard, marking the beginning of his formal training under the gym's founder and trainer, George Washington. There, Bowe began with foundational exercises, including basic sparring sessions and footwork drills designed to build coordination and endurance. Washington's program emphasized hard work and technical combinations, such as the Cherry Hill Special, helping Bowe develop his natural athleticism and structure skill. Despite his youth and inexperience, Bowe displayed raw talent early on, impressing observers with his power and determination, which fueled his commitment to the sport as a pathway out of the Brooklyn streets. Bowe's dedication grew rapidly. By age 14, he entered the first amateur fight in a local club setting, where he focused on enhancing his stamina and refining his jab as key weapons. Although he lost his debut to a more seasoned opponent, Paul Brennan, Bowe rebounded with a first-round knockout victory over the same fighter in the Junior Olympics, signaling his potential and resolve to pursue boxing seriously. This period solidified his mindset, transforming casual interest into a lifelong pursuit that highlighted his innate ability and unwavering focus. Let's take a deeper look at his amateur career. Deeper look at Big Daddy's amateur career. Domestic tournaments. Okay? Domestic tournaments for Riddick Bowe. Domestic tournaments. Bowe's amateur career in domestic tournaments began to flourish in the mid-1980s, with his most prominent successes coming in the prestigious New York Golden Gloves competitions. He secured 4 titles in the heavyweight and super heavyweight divisions between 1985 and 1988, starting with the 1985 Novice Light Heavyweight Championship, followed by the 1986 Open Light Heavyweight title at 178 pounds, and then the 1987 and 1988 Open Super Heavyweight crowns. These victories, often by stoppage, against tough local competition, quickly established him as a dominant force in New York City's amateur boxing scene and drew attention from national scouts. Beyond the Golden Gloves, Bowe excelled in other U.S.-based events sanctioned by the Amateur Boxing Federation, including regional and national qualifiers that honed his skills against top American talent. He participated in the 1988 United States National Championships in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where he advanced to the final but was stopped in the second round by Robert Salters. These domestic triumphs contributed to his overall amateur record of 104 wins and 18 losses over 122 amateur fights. The majority of these fights amassed through U.S. competitions that built his reputation as a physically imposing and strategically sound fighter. Under the guidance of national coach Ken Adams during preparations for major U.S. events, Bowe refined a training regimen emphasizing combination punching to overwhelm adversaries and defensive slips to evade counters, elements that proved effective in his tournament performances. This focused approach, blending raw power with tactical discipline, solidified his standing as one of the country's premier amateur heavyweights by the late 1980s. The international competition, still on his amateur career. Look at some international competition. That's this is him and Lennox in the Olympics. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's him and Lennox. Yeah. After their fight in the Olympics. The Boxing Benji podcast. This Riddick Bowe reminds me of the Boxing Source. Salute to the Boxing Source channel. Okay. Appreciate you, Boxing Mania podcast. Okay, yeah. Look at him in international competitions now. Okay, then we're going to get to his pro career shortly. Now, Bowe's international amateur career gained momentum in 1985 when he won the gold medal in the super heavyweight division at the World Junior Championships in Bucharest, Romania, defeating Cuba's Felix Savon in the final. Felix Savon, okay? Felix Savon won 3 Olympic gold medals, but in this tournament in Bucharest, Bowe beat him in the finals. Felix Savon, that's huge. Now, Bowe followed this in 1987 at the Pan American Games in Indianapolis, Indiana, where he secured a bronze medal in the super heavyweight division. Despite competing with a fractured hand, he concealed from his coaches. My man Joe Frazier. In the semifinals, he fell to Cuba's Jorge Luis Gonzalez by a split decision, 3-2, highlighting the competitive depth of international competition against seasoned Cuban fighters. But he beat the Cuban Felix Savon, remember? Mm-hmm. This performance underscored Bowe's resilience and potential on the global stage, building on his domestic Golden Glove successes. To earn a spot at the 1988 Summer Olympics, Bowe competed in the U.S. Olympic trials in Concord, California from July 5th to 10th, 1988, defeating Nathaniel Fitch by unanimous decision 5-0 in the quarterfinals, and Lou Savarese by disqualification in the second round in the semifinals, but lost to Robert Salters by a 4-1 decision in the final. He then advanced through the box office in Las Vegas, defeating Salters by 3-2 to secure his place on the U.S. team. These victories demonstrated his superior power and ring generalship against top American contenders, marking a pivotal step in his emergence as a world-class talent. Let's take a quick look at the 1988 Summer Olympics. Then on to the pros. Yeah, there's him and Lennox on the medal stand. Lennox in the middle, see, won the gold. Bowe to his left with the silver, and the third place finisher to his right. I don't know who that is. They won the bronze. Okay, probably a Russian. He got on red, so yeah. But yeah, look Russianish. But that's Lennox won the gold. Riddick won the silver. Now, representing the United States at the 1988 Summer Olympics in Seoul, South Korea, Riddick Bowe competed in the super heavyweight division. In the round of 16, Bowe secured a second round knockout victory over Biko Badawanagu of Austria. Wow. He followed that with a first round knockout against Peter Habnik of Czechoslovakia in the quarterfinals. Advancing to the semifinals, Bowe defeated Alexander Maroshenichenko of the Soviet Union by a 5-0 unanimous decision, recovering from 2 early knockdowns to floor his opponent twice in the third round. Don't laugh at my butchering. I'm trying. At least I can pronounce Riddick Bowe right. This set up a gold medal fight against Lennox Lewis of Canada in the final. The fight ended controversially in the second round when New Zealand referee Keith Walker stopped the fight after issuing Bowe 2 standing 8 counts for low blows and deducting a point for an alleged headbutt, awarding Lewis the victory by referee stoppage. Right? Bowe, who landed effective punches early but appeared fatigued, later claimed the stoppage was a robbery, disputing the low blow calls and arguing he was ahead on points before the stoppage. Bowe's 3-1 Olympic record earned him the silver medal, the best finish for a U.S. super heavyweight since the division's introduction, and significantly elevated his profile, attracting pro offers, including a lucrative deal with manager Rock Newman shortly after the Olympics. Okay, so now pro career. Well, Riddick Daddy, Riddick Bowe. We go to the pros. Yeah. Professional career. Debut and early victory. Okay. Debut and early victory. Give me for one moment. I was getting ready to do it again. I got to change. Okay, here we go. I caught it today. All right, pro career. All right. Okay, let's get started with Riddick Bowe's pro career. Now, professional. Yeah, he was had a kickboxing career too. We're gonna cover that too. Yeah, big 6'5" kickboxer, and pro wrestling too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, but here we go. Pro boxing career for Riddick. Now, Bowe turned pro after his Olympic loss. Highly regarded trainer Eddie Futch took on the job of developing Bowe as he saw the talent. Eddie would say that Bowe had more potential than any boxer he had ever trained. And I told you, Eddie trained Trevor Berbick, Larry Holmes, Michael Spinks, Joe Frazier, Ken Norton. He said Bowe had more talent than any of them, any boxer he'd ever seen. And he went up against Ali 4 times, 5 times in the opposing corner against Ali 5 times. 4 of Ali's 5 losses was to Eddie Futch trained fighters. But he said Riddick Bowe had more talent than any boxer he had ever seen. Those are huge words coming from Eddie Futch. Yes. But let's continue. Okay. So you got Eddie Futch. Now, Bowe turned pro in March of 1989 and knocked out Lionel Butler. Okay. He knocked out Lionel Butler. His then manager, Rock Newman, kept Bowe active, fighting 13 times in 1989, beating journeymen, the most notable being Goering Lane, whom he beat twice. In September 1990, Bowe made his first step up in class, fighting faded ex-champion Pinklin Thomas. That's him and Pinklin right there, whom he dominated until Thomas gave up after 8 rounds. The following month, Bowe knocked out Bert Cooper in 2 rounds, which added to his reputation and high ranking. Yeah, Bert Cooper was a pretty good name back around that time too. Mm-hmm. Yes, he was. Fought him early in his career. That's him and Tyrell Biggs. In March 1991, Bowe knocked out 1984 Olympic super heavyweight gold medalist Tyrell Biggs. In Bowe's next fight, ex-champion Tony Tubbs appeared to outbox and outsmart Bowe in a close fight. Only to have the judges award Bowe a unanimous decision. In August 1991, Bowe knocked out future world heavyweight champion Bruce Seldon in 1 round. That's when everybody was saying, well, hold up, we got to watch this guy, Riddick Bowe. Okay, fights against Elijah Tillery. Fights against Elijah Tillery. Bowe fought 2 interesting fights against Elijah Tillery in 1991. Their first fight at the Washington Convention Center drew attention for its bizarre conclusion. Bowe dominated the first round and dropped Tillery. After the round ended, Tillery walked toward Bowe and taunted him, and Bowe responded by punching Tillery. Tillery then threw several low kicks at Bowe, who then unleashed a flurry of punches on Tillery as he lay on the ropes. Bowe's trainer, Bowe's manager, Rock Newman, grabbed Tillery from behind on the ring apron and pulled him over the ropes as Bowe continued to throw punches. Tillery somersaulted over the ropes and was quickly detained by security. After order was restored and the fighters returned to the ring, Tillery and Bowe continued a war of words, and minor incidents continued until the ring was cleared. Tillery was eventually controversially disqualified for kicking Bowe, with Bowe getting the win, much to the surprise of the television announcers. The referee, Carl Milligan, had stepped between the two fighters to separate them and stepped forward as he did so, inadvertently missing the action behind him after the bell between the combatants. The fighters fought a rematch 2 months later at Convention Hall in Atlantic City, with Bowe dominating and stopping Tillery in 4 rounds. Can you believe they let them fight again? After all that, wow. Then Bowe versus Jerry Coetzee. Unbelievable. They actually let them fight again after all that. Bowe versus Jerry Coetzee. Bruce Gas, boxing, jazz, and more. Yeah, yeah, Bruce, you're 100%. That was like the WWE. And can you believe they let them fight again, Bruce? Had a rematch after that. You would think they would have never let them near the same ring again. But yeah, had a rematch. Yeah, but you're right, Bruce. That was like the WWE. Okay, so then Jerry Coetzee and Bowe. South African fighter, Jerry. Okay. In July 1992, Bowe knocked out South African. Pierre Coetzee in the 7th round of a WBA heavyweight title eliminated. This wasn't Jerry, this was Pierre. The victory made him the mandatory challenger to undisputed heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield. Yeah, Jerry is Coetzee. Pierre is Coetzer. Bruce Gas was the one who told me how to pronounce Coetzee. I don't know how to pronounce this one. Coetzer. Pierre. But yeah, the win over Pierre made him the mandatory challenger to undisputed heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield. So world heavyweight champion. World heavyweight, talk about that. There's him in Holyfield right there. In November 1992, Bowe fought reigning champion Evander Holyfield for the undisputed heavyweight title. Bowe won a unanimous decision in an entertaining fight, flooring Holyfield in the 11th round. However, it was the 10th round most boxing fans will remember. The epic, brutal back and forth exchanges helped make it Ring Magazine's Round of the Year. Commentator Al Bernstein exclaimed, "That was one of the greatest rounds in heavyweight history, period." So then, after that, a couple of weeks earlier in London, Bowe's old Olympic rival, Lennox Lewis, knocked out Canadian Donovan Razor Riddick in 2 rounds, establishing himself as the World Boxing Council's #1 contender. Now, the Bowe Holyfield and Lewis Riddick fights were part of a mini tournament whereby all 4 fighters agreed the 2 winners would meet each other for the undisputed World Heavyweight Championship. Now, Bowe's manager, Brock Newman, made a proposal. The $32 million purse HBO was offering should be split 90-10 in Bowe's favor, an absurd offer which Lennox Lewis rejected. Lewis's manager, Kelly Maloney, known as Frank Maloney at the time, rejected another offer of $2 million for Lewis to fight on a Bowe undercard, citing his distrust of the Bowe camp after aforementioned financial negotiations. Bowe responded by holding a press conference in which he dumped the WBC World Heavyweight Championship belt into a trash can and relinquished it in order to protest the actions of the WBC and WBC president, Jose Suleiman, concerning the fight payoff. Yes, Jose was Mauricio's father. Jose was WBC president before Mauricio. Okay? Mm-hmm. And the apple didn't fall far from the tree either. Okay, here we go. Oh, Coazer. Okay, yeah, Coazer. Thank you, Bruce. Okay, so Bowe's first defense of his remaining titles, he still had the IBF and the WBA. His first defense of the remaining two titles came on February 6, 1993, when he fought 34-year-old former champion Michael Dokes at Madison Square Garden and knocked Dokes out in the first round. Yeah. In February 1993, Bowe met Pope John Paul II during the Pope's general audience at the Vatican, the day after Bowe completed a goodwill mission to Somalia. In Bowe's next fight, May 22nd, 1993, at RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C., he knocked him around to retain the title. This set up a rematch with Evander Holyfield. Okay, and this was the Fan Man fight here. Yeah, we're not going to talk too much about Fan Man though, but this was it. In the rematch with Holyfield, Bowe looked overweight. He had entered training camp at 266 pounds and weighed in for the fight at 246 pounds, 11 pounds heavier than in the first fight with Holyfield. Now, Bowe and Holyfield exchanged hard punches. Bowe ended up losing the belts to Holyfield by a majority decision. And this fight was also known for a bizarre stunt in which parachutist James Fan Man Miller dropped into the open air arena, landing in the ropes by Bowe's corner. This surreal scene delayed the fight in the 7th round by nearly a half hour. Bowe stated afterwards he thought the fight should have been declared a technical draw or no contest, owing to the unfair delay. I wouldn't have continued after they took my wife out. You know, his wife was pregnant. She had to leave. So yeah, I wouldn't have continued anyway, no matter what they did. So after the title loss, after he lost his title to Holyfield, okay? In August 1994, Bowe fought 2 comeback fights. He faced a much smaller Buster Matthews Jr., and after struggling to connect with his jabbing and weaving target, the barbing and weaving target that Matthews got him, he hit Matthews while he was down with what was ruled an accidental blow, and the fight was ruled a no contest by referee Arthur Mercante Sr. In December 1994, Bowe punched Larry Donald at a pre-fight press conference, later beating him by a 12-round unanimous decision for the WBC Continental America heavyweight title, giving the 16-0 heavyweight contender Donald his first loss. So then, WBO heavyweight champion and the Holyfield rubber match. Yeah, him and Holyfield fought 3 times. So now the Holyfield rubber match. Okay, that's not Holyfield yet, but yeah, they did fight a 3rd time. WBO heavyweight champion and the Holyfield rubber match. So, in March 1995, Bowe won the WBO version of the World Heavyweight Championship by knocking down England's Herbie Hyde 6 times en route to scoring a 6th round knockout. In June 1995, after a heated build-up, Bowe defended the WBO heavyweight title against his arch rival in the amateurs, Jorge Luis Gonzalez, at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. The pre-fight hype contained bizarre trash talk, which included Gonzalez declaring a desire to eat Bowe's heart and likening himself to a lion while making Bowe out to be a hyena. Bowe won by a 6th-round knockout over Gonzalez. He vacated the WBO championship soon after. After the Gonzalez fight, Bowe fought a rubber match with Evander Holyfield, their third and final meeting. Holyfield knocked Bowe down during the fight, but Bowe maintained his composure and persevered to score an 8th-round stoppage victory. On January 11, 1996, Bowe was officially no longer the WBO champion. Then the Bowe versus Galata situation. Bowe versus Galata, 1 and 2. It was another bizarre. Bowe was in a lot of bizarre fights for one person. Most fighters go their entire careers and don't have fights. Bowe had a bunch of them. Bowe versus Galata, 1 and 2. After defeating Holyfield in the third fight of their trilogy, Bowe was matched against undefeated heavyweight contender Andrew Galata at the Madison Square Garden in an HBO boxing event. Bowe's weight problem again resurfaced as the favorite entered the ring at a career high 252 pounds. Though ahead on points, Galata was penalized several times for low blows to the testicles and was finally disqualified in the 7th round after a combination of punches south of the border. Seconds after Galata was disqualified, Bowe's entourage rushed the ring, attacked Galata with a 2-way radio. Galata traded punches with one of them, requiring 11 stitches to close the wound caused by the radio. And they assaulted Galata's 74-year-old trainer, Lou Duva, who collapsed in the ring and had to be taken out of the ring on a stretcher. 74-year-old Lou Duva left on a stretcher. Yeah, Lou should have stayed on the outside. But he had to be taken out of the garden on a stretcher. The entourage began rioting, fighting with spectators, staff, and policemen, resulting in a number of injuries before they were forced out of the arena in what evolved into a lengthy televised ring spectacle with a lot of fines and stuff too for that. Now the fight made many sports shows, including Sports Center, and there was a good amount of public interest in a rematch. And the rematch was on pay-per-view. Galata, after dropping Bowe in the 2nd round and being dropped himself later, was leading again on the scorecard, only to be disqualified again in the 9th round, once again for deliberately punching Bowe repeatedly south of the border. Despite not having another riot, this fight also proved to be controversial, with an unsuccessful protest filed by Galata's camp to try to overturn the fight's result. This fight was featured on HBO's documentary, Legendary Nights, the tale of Bowe Galata. Yeah, Bowe was in some weird fights. On September 25th, 2004, after 7.5 years away from boxing, Bowe returned with a 2nd-round knockout over Marcus Rude. In a second comeback fight in April 2005, an overweight Bowe narrowly defeated journeyman Billy Zumbra by a 10-round split decision. Bowe declared bankruptcy in 2005. On December 13, 2008, with the help of new manager Bob Bain, Bowe, then 41 years old, returned to the ring for the first time in over 3.5 years on the undercard of the Vladimir Klitschko versus Sim Rockman World Heavyweight title fight in Mannheim, Germany, and won an 8-round unanimous decision over Gene Pukal. Legacy and reputation for Riddick Bowe. Legacy and reputation. Riddick Bowe's boxing record stands at 43 wins, just 1 loss, 1 no contest with 33 knockouts. In the autobiography of veteran former referee Mills Lane, Let's Get It On, who had officiated some of Bowe's fights. He professed that Bowe could have been one of boxing's greatest boxers, but foolishly squandered the opportunity through immaturity and lack of discipline. That's what referee Mills Lane said about it. Eddie Futch felt the same way. Now, BoxRec ranks Bowe as the 28th greatest fighter among boxers that had their last pro boxing fight at heavyweight. Noted for his infighting skills, jab, and combination punching, Bowe's first fight with Evander Holyfield is considered one of the greatest world heavyweight title fights of all time. Following this victory, he met Nelson Mandela during a visit to South Africa. Bowe's trainer at the time, Eddie Futch, lamented that upon his return, Bowe failed to ever achieve the same physical condition for his subsequent fights. In 2017, the Ring magazine ranked Bowe as the 19th best heavyweight of all time in a poll of a panel of 30 trainers, matchmakers, and members of the boxing media. The consensus was that Bowe, described as both a super talent and a super waste, only had one great fight when winning the title from Holyfield, and ultimately disappointed in squandering his obvious natural ability due to laziness. Wow. Bowe's reputation suffered because of the weak challengers he faced as champion, an aging Michael Dokes and also Jesse Ferguson, before losing the title to Holyfield in their rematch. He is also widely criticized for relinquishing the WBC title rather than defending it against mandatory challenger Lennox Lewis, thus fracturing the undisputed championship until Lewis unified the titles in 1999. Bowe is the first boxer in any division to hold all four major versions of the World Championship, WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO, during his career. Although he didn't hold them at the same time, he was the first boxer to have all of them. An accomplishment emulated in the heavyweight division only by Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk. Now, Usyk had them all at the same time. Bowe's sole loss to Evander Holyfield in 1993 was avenged in 1995, meaning that he finished their trilogy 2-1. With the exception of a 1994 no contest with Buster Masters Jr., Bowe defeated every opponent he faced as a pro. Alongside Gene Tunney, Rocky Marciano, Sultan Ibragimov, and Nikolai Valuev, Bowe is one of the former heavyweight champions to have never suffered a stoppage defeat during his career. Now let's talk briefly, very briefly, pro kickboxing career. Yeah, he had a pro kickboxing career too. 6'5" kickboxing. Okay, professional kickboxing career for Riddick Bowe. We got Germany is the country for today. Okay, yeah. In March 2013, Bowe announced his Muay Thai debut, having trained under Kru Phantip in Kuchan in Las Vegas. He faced Levian Golovkin for the WPMF Super Heavyweight World title in Pattaya, Thailand. On June 14, 2013, Bowe was knocked down 5 times from kicks to his leg. The championship fight was called to a stop halfway through the second round. Yeah, he didn't have no stoppages in boxing, but his only fight in kickboxing was a stoppage. Yeah, okay. Life outside of boxing. Attempt at joining the U.S. Marine Corps. After the Galata fights, Bowe retired from boxing and decided to join the United States Marine Corps Reserve. He said he made the decision both to make his mother proud and to rededicate himself to training, with the intention of returning to boxing shortly after. Bowe arrived at Marine Corps Recruit Depot, Parris Island, on February 10th, 1997. On his first day of recruit training, Bowe discussed leaving the Corps with Marine commanders and quit after 3 days of heavy physical training with his platoon in Parris Island, South Carolina, on February 21st, 1997. So he lasted 3 days in the Marines. Okay? Humanitarian activity for Riddick. Shortly after winning his first title against Evander Holyfield, Bowe saw a news story on television that revealed $1 million worth of medicines donated to the Somali refugees and orphans was not able to be transported to the war-torn region due to a lack of funds to pay for the charter aircraft needed. Bowe immediately had his representatives contact Americares, the NGO leading the effort, and pledged the $100,000 needed to fund the trip on the condition he could go to the country with the goods and make sure they got to their intended recipients. While in Somalia, he visited U.S. Marines in an orphanage on the Kenyan border. He was accompanied by several members of his management team, including manager Rock Newman and head of international sales, Alexis Denny. Bowe also took action when he heard news of other tragedies. In 1995, when Alexis Denny was in Indonesia on other business, she read Asian news coverage of Rodolfo Yap, a young man in the Philippines who was electrocuted while positioning his antenna on his family to watch a Riddick Bowe fight. Yeah, the young man was executed while he was positioning his antenna so his family could watch a Riddick Bowe fight on TV. She relayed this news to Bowe and explained to the media at the time. The heavyweight champion was very moved by the story and having lost a brother and a sister earlier in life, decided to make a financial contribution to the family of Mr. Yap. Bowe authorized her to fly to the Philippines and try to locate the man's family, make a contribution to their expenses, and also provide funds to support the Philippine boxing team training for the Olympics in the name of the deceased, Mr. Yap. Okay, prison. Talk about his prison sentence that he had. Prison. Bowe was convicted of the February 1998 kidnapping of his estranged wife Judy and their 5 children. Thinking it would reconcile his marriage, Bowe went to his wife Cornelius, North Carolina home and threatened her with a knife, handcuffs, duct tape, and pepper spray. He forced her and their 5 children into a vehicle and set out for his Fort Washington, Maryland home. During the kidnapping, Bowe stabbed his wife in the chest. Police captured Bowe in South Hill, Virginia, freeing his family. Bowe agreed to a plea bargain of guilty to interstate domestic violence and was sentenced to 18 to 24 months in prison. Despite the agreed sentence on February 29, 2000, the judge sentenced Bowe to only 30 days due to a claim of brain damage by Bowe's defense. This sentence, counter to the plea agreement, was later overturned. Bowe served 17 months in federal prison. On February 8, 2001, Bowe was arrested in Long Island, New York, after a domestic dispute with his new wife. Bowe allegedly dragged his wife and left her with cuts on her knees and elbows. Now, attempted pro wrestling debut. In 2013, Riddick Bowe announced his intentions to start training to be a pro wrestler. He was to make his debut for the UK-based Preston City Wrestling Organization on March 1st, 2014. On December 14th, 2013, Preston City Wrestling announced on their Facebook page that Bowe would no longer be appearing due to a disagreement with Bowe's new agent. And finally, in popular culture, Riddick Bowe. In 1993, a video game entitled Riddick Bowe Boxing was released for various platforms. Also that year, Bowe appeared in an episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air entitled You Bet Your Life as a bully named Bowe. In 1997, Bowe appeared in the music video No Money, No Problem by the notorious B.I.G., Biggie Smalls. A photo of a young Riddick Bowe is the subject of the song on Mark Kozolek's self-titled 2018 album. There you have it, life and career of Riddick Big Daddy Bowe. Okay? Brought to you by BVO Sports TV. So now, the country for today is Germany. Okay, we're going to talk about some German boxers now. Okay, this is the most well-known German boxer on the left there, Max Schmeling. That's him and Joe Louis. Okay, let's talk about Germany real quick, and then a couple of great boxers, some of the best boxers from Germany. Okay, get into that in one moment. Country for today, Germany. Okay. A little short history of boxing in Germany now. All right. Okay, let's get into that. We try to do a country at the end of each show, time permitting, and time is permitting today. All right. History of boxing in Germany, little brief. Now, German boxing history spanning over a century peaked in popularity during the 1920s, Weimar Republic, was defined by the legendary Max Schmeling and later experienced the post-1990 resurgence to become a European boxing powerhouse. And key figures include Max Schmeling, pioneer Johann Rikeli, Trollman, and Henry Mast. And we got a little piece on Johann too. So the 1920s, the boxing boom established itself as a mass sport during the Weimar Republic, with official championships starting in 1920. Berlin became a major hub, producing popular fighters known for technique. The Max Schmeling era, 1930s. Max Schmeling became a national hero, winning the World Heavyweight Championship in 1930. His 1936 victory over Joe Louis, followed by a 1938 loss to Louis, made him a global icon. With his 1934 fight in Hamburg against Walter Nussel, drawing 100,000 spectators, a European record. The Nazi era, and Rikeli, Trollman. Under the Nazi regime, boxing was encouraged to promote aggression. However, Shinto boxer Johann Rikeli Trollman was stripped of his 1933 light heavyweight title due to his heritage and un-German style, quick movement. So they stripped Rikeli because he didn't fight aggressively and everything like they wanted him to. Now, post-war intervention, 1950 to the 1980s. Now, after World War II, boxing faced a quiet period, but resurged in the late 1950s. Gustav Schultz was a notable fighter in this era, while Karl Mildenberger became the first German challenger for the world heavyweight title in 1966 against Muhammad Ali. The modern era, modern boom, 1990s to the present. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 allowed East German athlete amateur talents to turn pro at that point, fueling a resurgence. Henry Mass, who was called the Gentleman, became winning the IBF light heavyweight title in 1993, drawing huge television audiences. In the Vegas of Europe, from the 1990s, Germany became a premier venue for big fights, hosting stars such as the Klitschko brothers, Vladimir Vitali, Gwen Atke, Arthur Abraham, and Marco Huck. Okay, so now let's talk about some of these great German boxers. Some of the top boxers to ever come out of Germany now. Okay. Like Frank Snelling, Arthur Abraham, Ben Atke, Marco Huck. Yeah. Some of these top German boxers now. Okay. Some of the top boxers you come from Germany. Got 10 of them. Here we go. Okay, let's see. Ten of the top German fighters of all time. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let's get started. Boxing in Germany. Germany is the country today. Here we go. Okay. Got a couple honorable mentions. Got 10, but I got a couple honorable mentions. Heavyweight Walter Nussel was a two-time national champion who became popular in both his homeland and the United States. The Blonde Tiger took on Max Schmeling twice in his career, losing their first meeting in 1934 before gaining revenge in the rematch 14 years later. It'd be the old Max Schmeling. Light heavyweight Eric Schachner won both the German and European titles in a 40-fight career, which saw him only suffer one defeat. Oktay Urkal had success in Europe, but fell just short on the world stage. Graziano Marchigiani, however, was perhaps the boxer who can have the biggest gripe about missing out. Rocky was a two-weight world champion whose career spanned 20 years. In the end, though, he just failed to squeeze into the top 10. Okay, so now let's start looking at them. Felix Sturm. I'll go down the list. German boxers. Felix Sturm. Here's Felix. Felix's record was 39 wins, 5 losses, 3 draws, 18 knockouts for his career. Felix Stern was a longtime world champion at middleweight who came mighty close to recording an upset win over Oscar De La Hoya. He did beat Oscar. We talked about that, but the winner was going to get B-Hop, and that would be the first four-belt undisputed champion. Hold all four belts at the same time. So follow the money. Boxing is always follow the money. So where's the money? B-Hop and Oscar, or B-Hop and Felix Stern for undisputed? B-Hop and Oscar. So they cheated Felix. So he didn't come mighty close to beating Oscar. He beat Oscar, but it was a robbery. Now Stern represented Germany at the 2000 Olympics in Sydney, Australia, losing to American Jermaine Taylor in his third fight at the Games. His pro career saw him reel off 20 straight wins, only for him to lose both his unbeaten streak and the WBO title at the hands of Oscar, who was awarded a unanimous decision, controversial unanimous decision on the scorecards, despite landing less punches than Stern. The fighter, whose actual name is Adnan Kadic, has also held the WBA and IBF strap at 160 pounds before moving up to super middleweight. Carl Mildenberger. He was the first German fighter to fight for world heavyweight title for the Ali in 66. Okay. You rest in peace, Riddick Bowe. That came from Freezy Fraz. FRZ. But salute. So easy. Yeah, rest in peace. Rest in peace, Riddick Bowe. Wow. Let's see. It's Riddick. I didn't know Riddick Bowe had passed away. Wow, that's news to me. Very interesting. Okay, Carl Mildenberger. He had a 53 wins, 6 losses, 3 draws, 19 knockouts. Carl Mildenberger held the European heavyweight title between 1964 and 1968. However, the man from Germany is perhaps best known for taking on Muhammad Ali in 1966. Okay. They did put what part of Germany he's from, but I couldn't pronounce it. But here it is. AIS. ERS. LAU. DERN. Okay, that's where he's from. So I just said the man from Germany. It is. Kaiserslautern. Is that it? Kaiserslautern. But anyway, yeah. He known for taking on Muhammad Ali in 1966. He was the first German to fight for the heavyweight title. Mildenberger was the first southpaw, first German, and first southpaw to fight for the world heavyweight title, because Max Mellin fought for the world heavyweight title way back in the 30s. Mildenberger was the first southpaw to fight for the world heavyweight title. That's hard to believe. In 1966, he was a southpaw that ever fought for the world heavyweight title. So he found the greatest too much to handle. After being knocked down 3 times, he was eventually stopped in the 12th round. When Ali was later stripped of his title, Mildenberger took part in an elimination tournament organized to find a new champion. Ended up being Jimmy Ellis. Yet, his hopes of glory ended early with the loss to Oscar Bonavena in 1967. In the following year, both his reign in Europe and his career came to a conclusion when he was disqualified against Henry Cooper. And that's some of the top German boxers to ever come out of Germany. Okay? Yes, Bilderberg and Ali right there. Marco Huck. There's Marco on the right. Marco Huck. Thomas Hill in the building. What's up, Thomas Hill? We're looking at some of the top boxes. Germany is the country for today. Looking at some of the top boxes to German boxes of all time. Marco Huck. Here's Marco Huck. Now, 38-3, 1 loss, 26 knockouts. Marco Huck made 13 consecutive defenses of the WBO Cruiserweight title before his reign was ended by Krzysztof Glowacki. Born in Ugaro, Serbia, Huck moved to Germany at a young age. He was an amateur kickboxer before choosing to stick to boxing. It seems he made the right career choice. After losing to IBF champion Steve Cunningham in 2007, he defeated Victor Emilio Ramirez 2 years later to claim the WBO belt. Huck took the brave step to move up in weight to challenge Alexander Povetkin for the WBA heavyweight strap, but was on the wrong end of a majority decision. Gustav Eder. 121 wins, 17 losses, 24 draws, 59 knockouts. He fought in that era. Okay. Over 150 fights total. Gustav Eder was a welterweight who became both German and European champion on a busy career that spanned 21 years. Astonishingly, 24 of his fights finished up as draws, including 8 of his final 10 appearances in the ring. Wow. He lost to compatriot Gustav Roth in his first attempt to win the European title in 1931. But he finally got his hands on the belt 3 years later, knocking out Nestor Collier to claim the vacant strap. It remained in his possession until 1938, when he not only lost his title, but also missed out on becoming IBU world champion at the hands of Belgian Felix Wouters. With no pictures available of him, you have to click on, you can find him on, click on video. With no pictures available of him at all, of his fights, no kind of footage or anything. Sven Adke, another undefeated fighter, 34-0, 6 knockouts. He achieved a rare feat in boxing, retired as a world champion, right? The Phantom held both the IBF and WBA super middleweight titles in the paid ranks after a highly successful amateur career. He competed at the 1988, 1992, and 1996 Olympics, while he picked up a bronze medal at the World Amateur Championships in 1989. He didn't medal at any of those Olympics. He finally turned pro in 1997, and less than 2 years later, claimed the IBF crown with a split decision win over Charles Brewer. The WBA belt was then claimed from the possession of Byron Mitchell in 2003. Adke defending both titles 4 times before announcing his retirement. Despite the unbeaten record, there are 2 reasons why Adke is not ranked higher on this list. First, note his low number of knockouts in 34 career fights. Second, and more importantly, he came out on the right side of several close decisions on the scorecards. Robin Reed was certainly not impressed by the officiating in his 2003 loss to Adke. You just see a couple of his wins were kind of questionable. Bear with me for one moment, please. Yeah. but never lost though during his pro career, and retired as a champion too. I think when I did Undefeated Champion show, I don't even think I had him on it. Wow. Mm. Yeah, I know I didn't have him on it. He should have been though. Yeah, I don't even think he's in the Hall of Fame either though. Mm-mm. Okay, there's the link. If anybody would care to chop it up for like 15, 20 minutes. Donnie Williams? What's up, Donnie Williams? Oh, shoot. Donnie Williams in the building. Salute. Donnie, how are you today? Good to see you. Okay. All right, now where was I? Glen Ati. But there's the link. And all are welcome to hit it. We'll continue with these until if and when somebody hits. Okay, I'm going to continue in 1 second. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, Lord. Bear with me for 1 second, please. Messing up here. My bad. You take it out and put it in again. Now, there we go. God damn, man. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on today. Okay, now let's go back to what we was doing. Okay, Swin Aki was last. Arthur Abraham, almost some of the top fighters from Germany. Arthur Abraham. This Arthur on the right. Arthur was 43 and 429 knockouts. Although born in Armenia, Arthur Abraham moved to Germany in his teenage years and became a citizen of his adopted homeland in 2006. King Arthur went on to become a two-weight world champion, and he was known for not only his heavy hitting, but also his toughness. He claimed the IBF middleweight title in 2005 before making a move up to the 168-pound limit to compete in the Super 6 World Boxing Classic tournament. Yeah, that was his first fight at 168 when he moved up to the middleweight. At 168 when he competed in the Super 6 tournament. His first career defeat came through a disqualification in the Super 6 tournament when he hit Andre Durrell after Durrell had slipped. In the same tournament, he was also beaten by Carl Froch and Andre Ward, so he opted to continue campaigning at super middleweight after the tournament. And those were the two finalists, Ward and Froch. Abraham had 4 fights against fellow Germans, Robert Stiglitz, and he won 3 of them. He had 4 fights against fellow German Robert Stiglitz, won 3 out of the 4. Also was a WBC super middleweight champion. Jürgen Bräumer, great German fighters. 47 wins, 2 losses, 35 knockouts. After an amateur career, where he lost just 5 times in 100 fights, Bräumer continued his habit of winning when he turned pro. The Southpaw started out as a super middleweight, winning the WBO Intercontinental and WBC International titles. He won his first 27 fights before tasting defeat for the first time at the hands of compatriot Marco V, where he gained revenge for that result with a 4th-round knockout in the rematch. His impressive run saw him pick up the European and WBA light heavyweight belt, with the second of those straps. He still had the second one when he retired. Jürgen Bräumer. Okay. Next is Gustav Schultz. That's some German boxers. Germany is the country of the day. Okay. Ramon Sifu's birthday today? Okay. Gustav had 96 total fights. He won 88, lost just 2. 6 draws, 46 knockouts. He had his one and only shot at a world title towards the end of his career, losing to Harold Johnston at light heavyweight in 1962. But when he retired the following year, he had been national champion at welterweight, middleweight, and light heavyweight. Okay. The Southpaw from Berlin claimed the European belt with a win over Giulio Rinaldi in 1964 in what proved to be his final fight. He was a popular sporting figure in his homeland, with his successions in the ring made even more impressive by the fact He had no amateur background in the fight game. No amateur. After hanging up the gloves, Schultz, who was nicknamed Soup Booby, became an actor, working both in film and television. Became an actor. Okay, that's Schultz on the right. Henry Mask. Henry Mask. Henry Mask is the next to the last one. That's Henry on the right there. Okay, Henry. 31 wins, just 1 loss in his career. 11 knockouts. Henry Mask was a gold medal winner at the 1988 Olympics, who was unable to turn pro until the reunification of Germany in 1990, when the wall came down. Came down in 89 and turned pro the next year. Tear that wall down. His amateur career also included success at the 1989 World Amateur Championships, by which time he had moved up from middleweight to light heavyweight. He became IBF light heavyweight champion in his 20th fight, dethroning Charles Williams, thanks to a unanimous points win in Dusseldorf, Germany. His reign lasted from 1993 until 1996, when Virgil Hill beat him by split decision in Munich, Germany. Won the title in his homeland of Germany and lost it in Germany. Mask, nicknamed the Gentleman, retired after his only defeat in the paid ranks when he lost the title to Virgil Hill, though he was tempted to lace up the gloves one last time for a rematch with Hill in 2007. Oh, almost 11 years later, but he didn't. The German had his revenge with a points triumph in the catchweight contest. Okay. He did come back 11 years later and beat Hill. And finally, Max Schmeling. There's Max and his rival, Joe Louis. Yeah, Max Schmeling, top of the list for the German fighters. Max was 56 wins, 10 losses, 4 draws in a 70-fight career with 40 knockouts. One of them 40 was Joe Louis. One of those 40 knockouts was the Brown Bomber himself. Now, Schmeling topped the list, and rightly so. The Black Olan of the Rhine was a classy operator in and out of the ring. He created history when he became the first man to win the heavyweight title by disqualification in 1930 after Jack Sharkey was thrown out for a low blow. Still the only man to win the heavyweight title by disqualification. Schmeling lost the belt 2 years later in a rematch and then failed in an attempt to dethrone champion Joe Louis in 1938, despite having previously beaten the Brown Bomber in 1936. A good technician with a dangerous right hand, Schmeling found himself caught up in politics through no fault of his own. Yeah, because he was German, everybody just put that Nazi label on him, and he was never a Nazi. Never had anything to do with the Nazi party. But since he was German, and World War II was going on, and everybody just had to have a villain, so they made it Max. You know what I mean? Yeah. But he never was part of the Nazi party. Max wasn't. Yeah. In America, he was routinely cast by promoters as the cold-hearted villainous invader, a puppet of Hitler, and a hater of Jews, which he never was. In Germany, Nazi propagandists portrayed him as a heroic symbol of German destiny and Aryan supremacy. In no way was Max Schmeling any of those things. He was drafted to serve in World War II, but we get back in the ring in 1947, albeit with limited success. Schmeling, who was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1992, died in 2005 at the age of 99. Yeah, Smelling actually saved two Jewish teenagers from the Nazis. They were going through the city, burning down Jewish businesses and going from house to house arresting Jews. And a friend of his who was Jewish brought his two teenage sons to Max and told Max to hide them out. Max was living in a hotel. He hid him in his hotel suite, him and his wife. And the Nazis actually came in there and searched and never found him. One of those kids he saved became a big time casino owner in Las Vegas. Can't remember his name, yeah. But yeah, Max saved both of them. So he had nothing to do with the Nazis, but you need a villain. So Max was German, so he was cast into that role. Yeah. But Max was one of the first fighters to study film in boxing. Yeah. And that's how he beat Joe Louis. We talked about this plenty of times. On film, we saw that Joe Louis, after he jabbed, when he was bringing it back home, bringing his jab back in, he always dropped it down low, right? Always. And Max caught him in the 4th round. Joe never recovered from that. He knocked him out in the 12th. But even after Max caught him with that in the 4th round, Joe never corrected that during the fight. He just kept doing it throughout the fight. And he had the great Jack Blackburn in his corner. But, some things just become habit. You've been doing it so long and been getting away with it, He was undefeated and everything, so hey. But Max made him pay for it. Hurt him in the 4th round. Joe never recovered. And then Max got him up out of there in the 12th. And it wasn't no TKO neither. It was on the mat for 10 count knockout. That kind of knockout. Yeah. So yeah, but Max Smelling, most well-known and greatest German fighter ever. Max Smelling. He was really the first European heavyweight. The other guy was the first Southpaw to fight for the heavyweight title in 1966. That's unbelievable. That a Southpaw never fought for the heavyweight title until 1966. Wow. That's crazy. Carl Mildenberger against Muhammad Ali. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah, that fight right there. The Mildenberger fight and Ali, that was the first time a Southpaw ever fought for the world heavyweight title. That's unbelievable. That comes from a very reliable source. It's a fact. Bob Fitzsimmons. Yeah, Bob Fitzsimmons was Orthodox. Yeah, I can't think of any. Nope. That's a crazy stat, though. It really is. But now we have some Usyk. Usyk is the heavyweight champion. Oh yeah, and we got Monster and Inoue. I mean, not Monster and Nakatani coming up. Yeah, we've been talking about that for a long time. It's coming up. So next week is fight week, right? For that, yeah. Hopefully we can get some people up here on the panel next week, and we can break it down. Monster and Nakatani, yeah. And then Benavidez and Zerto is on the same day. We got Oshaki and Raymond Ford, Keyshawn, and the rematch with Nahira Albright. I think Usyk fight next month too, don't he? I think. Yeah, May is just loaded. Loaded. May is loaded. Wow. With big names in there. It's going to be a good month. And starting off with Monster and Nakatani. Starting off, man. Intriguing fight. Monster Nakatani. That is going to be. They call it the biggest fight in Japanese history, but like I always say, all time is all time. So I ain't sure about that. Because there's been some big time Japanese fighters and some big fights over there. So Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson in Japan. Remember? Monster Nakatani bigger than that? Maybe they be between two Japanese fighters. Yeah. Because there's been some huge fights in Japan involving some Japanese fighters, but as far as two Japanese fighters, that probably is. Yeah, probably is the biggest. But we got to see what happens, though. How it turns out before you put that label on it, Nakatani could stop him in the first round. Nah, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. I got that going 12. I got Monster by decision right now, but I don't know. We just within 2 weeks of it, I know that. A week from Saturday. Yep. The card is fuller. And Takuma also on the card, Monster's little brother. Takuma holds the WBC bantamweight title. Yep, he's on the card. Good Shogo Nataka on there. Good Japanese fighters. Yeah. So yeah, that's going to be good. And that could be another good fight. Because Takuma is fighting Kazuto Ioka. So both brothers in there with tough customers, tough opponents. Monster Nakatani and Takuma is fighting Kazuto Ioka. So Shinto, their father, Shinto anyway, gonna have his hands full that night. Yeah. So a good card. And it's on a Saturday. I was thinking it was going to be on a Tuesday, but it's on a Saturday. Yeah, you know how they do over there. Probably early in the morning, though. I'm staying up all night. I don't care what time it come on. I'm going to be waiting. I ain't missing that one. Those were my two dream fights for this year. I had two, Monster and Nakatani and Boots and Virgil. I'm getting one of them, so I'm happy. I doubt if we'll get the other one, but we're getting that one. Donnie Williams, Thomas Hill, FRZ, Frez, Bruce Gas Boxing Jazz, and more. Al Booger, BBO Sports TV, who brought you today. Show on Riddick Bowe. Luke BBO, appreciate you. Mike Grimm, the Boxing Menu Podcast. Mike Mazik and Miss Cass. All-star cast in the building today. Appreciate everybody 1,000,000%. I'll be back with another exciting episode of Cass Sports, the Box Storian tomorrow. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Storian bringing you all that boxing history. Appreciate y'all 1,000,000%. And everyone have a great afternoon. This thing is not even showing. What's going on? That's right. Okay, I don't have something sitting right. I can't pull anybody up. I don't know what's going on. Okay, we'll get it tomorrow. Everybody have a great afternoon.